your boy Q. He covers the Las Vegas Raiders for Locked On Raiders. He also works for the Las Vegas Sports Network. He's on the radio in Las Vegas, and he joins us now here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. How you doing, Q?
Good. How are you guys doing? Appreciate you.
Yeah, we're doing all right. I mean, obviously the Browns are struggling. Not a lot to be excited about with the Browns right now. Your team, on the other hand, it's been a weird couple of weeks. You had a nice comeback win against the Ravens, and then they laid an egg last week. I loved that the coach called them out. So many coaches are so gutless these days. They're afraid to call players out. And not a surprise that Antonio Pierce would be one of the guys unafraid of calling players out. Our guess is that that the Raiders give better effort this week. What did you think about that whole situation and what he had to say?
I think it was warranted. The players did not go out there and respond. Like you said, they had a really good victory over the Baltimore Ravens. They come home to have a seasoner, and then they lay an egg. And, the thing about it is, in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, a lot of times there's going to be a lot of the opposing fans. Like this week with the Browns coming in, obviously there's going to be a ton of the dog pound there. And so this last week against Carolina, there's not a lot of Panther fans there. And so it's packed to the gills with Raider Nation, and the team puts out that kind of effort on the field. And so I think it was very warranted when AP made business decisions. The effort wasn't there, the energy wasn't there, the juice wasn't there. And I'll tell you, I've been covering the team, been watching the team for a very long time, basically my whole life, and I never thought that an Antonio Pierce-led team would put that kind of effort out on the field, and that was a big shock to me. I think it was a big shock to him as well, so I was not surprised that he called them out. He praises them when they do well, and he has no hesitation to call them out when they don't.
Q, let me ask you, last week, Maxx Crosby, he's been dealing with some type of ankle injury.
Yeah.
Do you know what his status is going to be for this game? Because I think last game he only played, third downs maybe? Is that what it was?
No, I mean, he played about 85% of the game of the stats, but he always plays 100%, right? So whenever you see 98 on the sideline, you're like, whoa, what's going on? He's got a high ankle sprain, right? He's got a big brace on the ankle, so he's definitely banged up. He's not the guy that, he wants to be. He's a little frustrated by that, but Maxx is Maxx. He didn't practice on Wednesday. But I'm 99% sure he'll be a go for Sunday. Just knowing Maxx like I know Maxx, he's not going to miss any time. He doesn't really need practice Monday through Friday or Wednesday through Friday, whatever the case may be, to get out there and be ready to go on Sunday. He's going to do everything for his body to get it in the best position to, for success. But he's just not 100%. And the bad part of it is, and he told us this on Sunday after the game, he injured his ankle on the second to last play against the Baltimore Ravens in the game. So, he would be basically at 100% if he hadn't done that. But you know how football goes, and it could be any play that it happens. So there you go.
How's Gardner Minshew played this year? It seems to have been a little up and down. He had a great game against the Browns last year.
Killed him.
With the Colts. This is a different scheme, though. What are you expecting out of Gardner, and just how's he been overall this year?
I mean, he hasn't been the reason why the Raiders are 1-2, right? It's been a collective team effort. He hasn't been fantastic. I mean, Gardner Minshew is Gardner Minshew. We know who he's going to be. He does have a high completion percentage, but that's a lot of check downs, little dinking and dunking. The numbers don't necessarily reflect the play, and the Raiders' offense hasn't had a rhythm. They just have not found any rhythm so far this season. They've literally played one really good quarter, and that was the fourth quarter in Baltimore when they picked up the victory. So they're still trying to find themselves. It's Gardner, but it's also the collective. The offensive line has not been good. The weapons, he hasn't been able to utilize all the weapons that the Raiders have at a consistent basis. And there's been no signs of a run game. The run game is on the back of a milk carton right now. So they're trying to find that. Once they can find that, and once he can get on the same page with Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator, the new system that you talked about, and then, of course, the weapons, Davante Adams, Brock Bowers, the rookie, who's fantastic. But, again, he hasn't been utilized the way that the Raiders want to. So it's still a work in progress, but he is not the reason why the Raiders are 1-2. It's really a collective team effort, and the coach is involved as well.
They sound like us.
Yeah, right.
Just like us.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. As I've been looking at this game and trying to preview it and do as much intel and research, it's a lot of similarities to Cleveland. So that's why I'm really intrigued by what it's going to look like come Sunday.
Except our quarterback's getting paid $230 million, and their quarterback's getting paid $30 million or whatever the heck it is. They're
Exactly.
Anyway. But you mentioned Davante Adams. There was a lot of talk in the offseason training camp that that he didn't want to be there. What is his attitude like right now? Does he want out?
No, he doesn't want out. It's so funny. It's one of the biggest misconceptions that's going around that Davante doesn't want to be there. Now, Davante wants to win. Make no mistake about it. He wants to win, but he loves being on the West Coast. He loves being in Las Vegas. When he was in Green Bay, his family was never able to watch him play. And so that was one of the biggest things and selling points to him. Not to mention he's just doing such a phenomenal job off the field with all the opportunities he has as the guy off the field here in Vegas. So, yeah, he loves being here. He loves, playing for Coach Antonio Pierce and the guys in the locker room. He says it all the time. He gets irritated that all the trade talk always comes up. But at the end of the day, I mean, the reality is that we all know he wants to win. He's not on the right side of 30. So he's got to, if his window is closing more than it's opening. And at the end of the day, the next 2 years on his contract, none of the money is guaranteed. The base salary is like $36 million for next year and $37 for the next year. There's no way that the Raiders are going to pay him that kind of money the next 2 years as a base salary. I mean, that'd make him the highest paid wide receiver in the league. So something's got to give. So you put all that together and, the fact that they're, they could potentially start losing a few games. And if they do, then things could change. But, how it stands right now, he's really happy to be in Vegas.
Q, when you look at this game against the Browns, what is the one, I would guess, X factor or one advantage that you look at like, okay, the Raiders, they got this guy, that's a good matchup for him and they should be successful?
Well, I mean, it's funny, I look at the offensive side of things and I know that Denzel Ward is fantastic and I saw what Denzel Ward was able to do once they actually dedicated him to be on Malik Neighbors, right? And then you didn't hear Neighbors' name called like that. But the Raiders do have weapons. They have Davante. They have Brock Bowers, who, again, is a matchup nightmare. You can't put a linebacker on him. You don't want to put a corner on him, right? I mean, so he's a matchup nightmare. Jacoby Myers is a sneaky wide receiver. Michael Mayer is another tight end that they have. Trey Tucker can stretch the field. Like, they have the weapons, but they haven't found a way to get it in rhythm and get it in sync. And I've been comparing it all week to, like the drunk folks at the wedding that, they're out there on the dance floor and they're having a phenomenal time. They're having the best time of their life, but the rhythm is off. You could tell that they really don't know what they're doing, but they're out there. Right? That's what it is. They're having a great time, which is what we celebrate, but it just looks odd. Well, that's what the Raiders offense is right now. It's the drunk folks on the dance floor with no rhythm.
Or we could just say the fat white guys, like me.
I didn't go there.
I'm going there. I'm going there. Fat white guy, do a little white man overbite. There you go.
Hey, man, that was your call. That wasn't my call, man.
That was me. I take full responsibility for that comment. Brock Bowers was interesting. I think a lot of people, because the Raiders took Mayer last year, a lot of people were shocked that they took Bowers this year. And the Raiders, like the Browns, don't get a lot of benefit of the doubt because they've done a lot of stupid things over the recent years. But Bowers, as you say, I mean, I haven't watched him as closely as you, but he appears to be the real deal. What do you think the upside? Like, is his upside? I don't want to say Travis Kelce because that's unfair, but how high is the upside for this guy?
I mean, honestly, sky's the limit for this dude. I mean, he is the real deal. And even when they first got him into camp at rookie minicamp, you saw that they were trying to get him the ball any way possible. Jet sweeps, line him up in the backfield, right? Kind of line him up as like Kyle Juszczyk as a fullback, a traditional tight end, out wide. I mean, you could put this dude anywhere. The job is just to get him the ball. And Antonio Pierce told us the other day, he's still got to work on some of his blocking. He's like, but we didn't draft on the block, right? I mean, they're trying to get him the ball. Tom Telesco, the GM, said, look, the Raiders didn't score touchdowns last year, and he's going to help the Raiders get touchdowns. And really, the win against the Baltimore Ravens, as much love as it got, that had a lot to do with Brock Bowers and just what he was able to do. Obviously, Davante Adams played a major role as well, but Brock was that guy. And so it was really disappointing to see him not get as much targets and as much attention last week against Carolina. I would expect that Bowers is going to get a heavy dose of the ball this upcoming weekend.
I'm just wondering, how's football doing in Vegas? When you look at the fact that the A's are now moving there, NBA is going to be there, I think, sooner than later. It's a lot in a short amount of time, and it doesn't look like they have a great amount of support for football. I'm just wondering how Vegas is going to handle all three. How's the team doing?
No, the team's fine. I mean, the stadium's sold out, right? I mean, all the tickets are sold out. The problem is when it comes to football in Vegas, if you're not winning, someone's going to find something else to do, right? Because there's so many options out here to do things. So what happens is with all the season tickets being sold out, all of a sudden the Raiders start to stink it up. Then they start to sell their tickets, and that's when you start to see the crowd become definitely not a Raiders crowd and be the away team's crowd. And honestly, and I'll say it again, I have no problem saying it, I think this crowd on Sunday for Cleveland is going to be probably 60-40 Cleveland, right? I just think that's right. What it's going to look like. I know how Cleveland travels, and I know a lot of folks that are coming, and so I don't, especially with the way that the Raiders stunk it up last week, I expect that, there's going to be a reason why people are going to say, yeah, same old Raiders, not going to, spend the money to go to the game, just going to go ahead and sell my tickets. So I would expect to see a large Cleveland crowd, but winning is the cure to everything. The Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup. The WNBA, the Aces team, has won back-to-back championships, trying to get a third one now. There's a lot going on. UNLV is 3-0. They've got their own issues, right? I mean, there's so many different things. Yeah, exactly. So that's a whole other conversation. But even the energy for UNLV, which has not been a powerhouse, is not a powerhouse in football, is even up there now. But they've got their quarterback situation, so we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of love for you in this town. The problem is you have to win. If you don't, then, well, they're going to find something else to do. There's just too many options.
Q, let me ask you about Christian Wilkins, because he was probably the biggest signing that y'all had this year. Now, I know it's only been 3 games, but do you think that y'all getting the proper return on that investment?
Yeah, I think they are, and I will say the only slight criticism that I have is that I think he needs to do a little bit better in the run stopping, right? I mean, that's the only thing. But he's been pushing the pocket. A lot of the things he does hasn't shown up on the stat sheet. But Maxx has benefited, or another guy has benefited along that defensive line. I mean, he's done what he was asked to do. But again, to take it to the next level and be the absolute superstar that it was expected to be when they signed him is to do a little bit better against the run. And that's been the big Achilles heel for the Raiders defense, which was supposed to be their biggest strength this year. Like spending all my time in Costa Mesa, California for their training camp, it was all about the defense is going to lead the team. They're going to be the reason why the Raiders win a bunch of games. They haven't been able to stop the run. And that went back to preseason, but I thought, it's preseason, not a big deal. But so far through 3 weeks, they're giving up over 100-something yards a game, and so that's an issue, especially when Carolina goes over 100 yards a game. Yeah. You know that you got a problem. So they've got to tighten that up, and that's where Christian's going to have to step up as well.
Hugh, let's wrap it with this. What is your prediction for the game?
Man, I hate predictions because they always go wrong.
Yes, they do.
But, based off the fact that AP really kind of lit into his guys, I'm going to say that they're going to find a way to get a W. It's going to be tough. It really is. I think this is going to be an ugly backyard brawl between both of these teams because neither one wants to go to 1-3. I could make an argument why Cleveland's going to win, and I could make an argument why the Raiders are going to win. But for the sake of giving them a little love, I'm going to say the Raiders are going to find a way to get a dub. Maybe 24-21, 21-17, something like that. It's not going to be it ain't going to be a great night at the races when it comes to the offensive output. I don't think.
Thanks, Hugh. We appreciate it, man. Take care.
I appreciate y'all. Have fun, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, you got it.
You can find Q on the Locked On Raiders podcast if you want to listen to more. So
what's that?
You can find Q on the Locked On Raiders podcast if you want more insight.
Yes.